Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...
When I have a big thing coming up, so I never feel rested, but at least I know I'm getting some rest. I don't know. The body is so weird. The body is so super weird. I don't get it half the time.
Nor I.
But aside from our weird talk that we were having back here about sleep and how neither of us get enough of it, and my camera's a little angled down, welcome back, everybody. It is Thursday night. We are here for another episode of Foil Variant. It is me, Spencer. It is my boy, Andrew, and we are happy to be here. Andrew, how's your week been? How have you been doing? What's going on your side of the world?
Week has been pretty darn phenomenal. Across the board. I'll be seeing Mary on Saturday.
Already, that's right. Oh my goodness.
Yep, and we've got a D&D one shot on Saturday, which I'm stoked for as well. A lot of cool things happening over at the Rippaverse. Had some great comics this week. I got no complaints, man. Despite little sleep, I got no complaints.
Right. Oh
it's been
yeah,
a good
man.
week.
No, I love it. It's a significant, shift in attitude over here because I'm loving the positive vibe. Godspeed to all of your cool plans and success. Because I just like seeing my buddies happy. That's awesome.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, aside, we did. What am I trying to say here? In terms of comic books, which is what everybody is here for, I would say, at least on my end, a kind of light week, but also a very satisfying week. I don't think I read a bad book, and pretty much every book I opened was pleasantly either. How do I put this? If it was something I didn't have high expectations for, I was earnestly surprised that that was good. Or if it was something I was excited for, it turned out to be good. So that rarely happens in our side of the world. There's one.
I only had one book that was annoying for me.
Is it what I think it is?
It probably is.
Is it the one you told me about that I also agree with? Amazing Spider-Man? Because that's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah, that was... And it wasn't even like it was a bad book per se, but it was dealing with something that I just do not want to deal with for the most part.
I know.
9.9 times out of 10 in comic books. And they did it in the absolute worst way possible too, where it's okay, let's break every single convention that could make this somehow make a semblance of sense. And our reason is just going to be cuz.
So yeah, no.
What are we doing? What are we doing here?
We should definitely talk about that because I have thoughts on that. There's lots of things to note on there. So we'll talk some Amazing Spider-Man. Obviously, guys, it was another week for Uncanny X-Men, so we're gonna really break down into that. It was a great dang book. I don't know about you, Andrew, but I also found Storm and Phoenix to be highly, highly entertaining.
I didn't get a chance to read Storm. My shop was out.
No!
My shop was out. You're going to have to send me a copy.
Okay, all right, I definitely will. I know where I'm going first thing tomorrow morning. Grab you a copy of Storm. Because you haven't seen it, I will just preview it or I'll just let you know.
Was it better than last issue? Because last issue was just kind of okay.
Yeah. I want to say yes or no. It's one of those things where I think it's going to read better in trade, and it should all be taken together. Because as an individual issue, it's sort of...
Its pacing is super slow.
Its pacing is super slow, but it's also at the same time, I'm not upset about, the extra time we spend on stuff, right? Like if I was a movie editor, I would be like, okay, yeah, we got to cut, some of this, some of that, because we got to slim down the runtime. But then if it was like we released the director's cut and it had everything, I wouldn't be upset having watched all of that, right? I probably wouldn't walk away being like, oh yeah, they should have cut that. I'd be like, oh, I get it, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, no, this latest issue, it's probably the strongest contender for the example of what you were just saying, like the really bad pacing. It kind of, not a lot happens, but what does happen is very entertaining, if you will.
Okay.
It's basically the Storm book. And as you know from the cover, the Uncanny X-Men show up, and just, at least on my end, given the quality of that book right now, I feel like a kid back in like the 90s seeing like Spider-Man on a cover of something. Like,
sure,
oh,
it's like
like, yeah.
They're elevating everything they touch right now for the most part.
100%. So we'll talk a bunch of that. Whoa, my voice cracked. We'll talk a bunch of that.
I know you're still going through puberty.
You know what? I just want to be a big boy someday. That's all I'm trying to do.
I'm a big kid now.
I'm a big kid now. The weirdest thing is that Toys R Us is still a big brand over in the Philippines. So when I go home to visit like family, they're everywhere. And like
they didn't
I buy
get the
things
memo that they went under.
No, like I still buy things from them. I buy model kits. It's fantastic. But
That's
so
great.
we'll talk the mutant books. Did you get a chance to read Ultimate Universe 1 year in?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll talk some of that.
I did get to read that.
I want to talk some of that.
They wasn't there a one that kicked off the whole Ultimate Universe that
Yes.
I did miss that one. That's the only thing that I've missed so
Which is
far.
actually kind of good because this issue actually recapped a lot of what that book had, like the
did it really?
The power structures of the world, like all that
Okay.
stuff. So
yeah, because that was all new information to me
Right.
because I was too lazy to go look it up.
Yeah, exactly. But
I was like, this is having so far no bearing on Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimates, at least in a direct sense. Obviously, I'm sure they'll get there eventually to where all that stuff's actually brought in and discussed more directly and addressed more directly. But it hasn't played a part in the stories that are being told so far. So I just haven't cared to look.
It's kind of, and that's completely fair. And I kind of like that element because we know that the Ultimate Universe is going to be the big fight against the Maker and this council, and like they're the big overarching bads. But by taking them sort of out of the equation for the main books, we let those books like breathe on their own, right? Like they get to develop the Ultimates, Ultimate Spider-Man, even Ultimate X-Men. Like the only one I think that really touches upon any of this stuff is Black Panther, and that's because Khonshu and
the
Raw,
throwaway book.
Yeah, it's so bad, man. It's so just not a good book. But yeah, those two like physically fight Black Panther in one of the issues. That is a dog. That's my dog Toffee.
That is a
hanging
dog.
out back there. Hi, girl.
Toffee.
What are you doing, girl? Yeah, you don't care. But but yeah, so we'll talk some Ultimate Universe. I also know that Andrew read a couple issues that I want to give him time to talk about because I know that they were good, and I'm excited to hear when books are good. So we'll hit that, and then you guys out there, heads up, this is going to be a bit of a shorter episode tonight because Andrew was actually slated to appear on another stream promoting an indie book. Do you want to talk about it now? Do you want to talk about it later? Do you just want to hint anything?
I'll briefly touch on it now, and then I'll touch on it as I'm on my way out the door.
As we get
so there. I'm going to be, if those of you guys who are not familiar with the channel, Well Read Comics, you can find them here on YouTube. Very good guy. He's super supportive of the Rippaverse, super supportive of indie comics. He does weekly reviews on mainstream comics as well. And so he is reviewing Von Coleman's Phenomenova, which just came out after successful Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and Fund My Comic campaigns. And I was asked to be a part of the panel that's reviewing the book and chatting with Vaughn a little bit afterwards. So please give that a look. I can actually probably just pull up the YouTube stream link for that, can't I? Because I shared that over here.
Yes,
there we go. There's that. This is the link, to that. So guys, please check that out if you're interested in seeing more of me, I guess, and
absolutely
listening to a review on pretty good indie comic.
Think of it as an extended version of our indie spotlight minus me. I'll be over there. I'll be in the chat, but obviously Andrew's going to be the star of that one. So links dropped right now if you guys want to pull it up now. I will obviously drop the link later as we're going out the door. Unfortunately, we don't have enough subscribers yet to redirect you automatically. Otherwise, we would. You can change that by hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell, hitting that follow, hitting all those buttons, sending it to your friends.
Plug.
You know, go to your parents' YouTube account, hit follow. I don't care if they're watching us. Just get us to that point where we can use some fun features, right? So we can get things done. But I think that's basically what we have on deck for tonight. So we're going to keep it tight. We're going to get into some books. First, before we get started, as always, we'll say hello to the chat, and then we will get into it. First things first, this show is super gay, and guess what? I had it immediately up. I missed no chats this time. We are getting better at this. So I got that chat. What's going on, Caffeinated Wolf? How's it going?
It's going pretty well aside from how gay this place is.
I know, it's the gayest stream on YouTube. Dude, I still need to... I'm so torn, Andrew, because our intro rules. And, you know, we want to treat Foil Variant as a very serious endeavor because we care about this medium. We care about spreading, you know, fun and joy and good comics and talking about bad comics when they arise. But if you remember, when you and I were first talking about ever doing a show together, I sent you that clip from South Park where they're making fun of the Ghost Adventures. And they have the line where it's like, this is the gayest show in the world. Like, I want to put that in so bad, but I'm like... Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll hold it off for a subscribers thing. I don't know, but I always think about that all the time. But aside from our budding romance here, Frickin' Punk is here. What's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. I know that you were in the Discord earlier talking about Lady Mechanica. You caught up on it today. That's a book I want Andrew to talk about because all I've heard from him about that book is that it rules. Like, there's that Witchblade. All the Image stuff I hear from you is so good. I just need to... For my own,
it's hard to have time to add more of them.
I know.
Especially if you're including backlog of them as well.
Oh man, and like I get, like, so I have like things I want to read, right? Of course, well, I want to read all of it, but there's things like I've identified, like I want to check that out, and then I have like an Andrew reading list, and on my iPad, I have like a folder that's like all the books that you've recommended, and every time I open it, there's like 2 seconds where I get frozen where I'm like, do I want Fathom? Do I want Witchblade? Do I want okay, we'll do an issue of Witchblade tonight. So I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there. But yeah, we'll talk about Lady Mechanica. I'm really excited to hear about it. We have Zero is here. What's going on, buddy? Always happy to have you, Zero. I know that you had some sleep troubles these last couple weeks, so you couldn't make it to a couple of our streams, but I'm always happy to have you back. Always happy to have you here. What is going on? And then we also have Timon. Hello, Shinies. Hello to yourself, my Brazilian friend. And then we have Subhuman here asking, well, first off, what's up, Subhuman? And then Subhuman is asking, what did you think of Witchblade? So that was this week or last week? I forget. Witchblade
this week.
6. This week? All right.
Witchblade 6, which I think wraps up this initial arc, unless the initial arc is 7 issues. I can't remember.
I would be very surprised if a book had a 7-issue first arc. That'd be really weird.
Well, we've got freaking 3 and 4 issue minis now, so nobody knows what we're doing with the numbers anymore. Nobody can count.
That is completely fair. I can get behind that. But so yeah, what did you think of Witchblade? We've got it here. We can talk about it. We can see what's going on. Also,
yeah,
to Hillam, what's going on, buddy? Shalom, just to clear out the introductions to say hello. So yeah, Witchblade issue number 6.
Witchblade continues to just be a really strong book so far. For those who are not aware, it's
Marguerite
a retelling.
Bennett too. That's what's super surprising. Hey, Matt's
right?
here. What's going on, Matt?
Because you take a look at her resume and breadth of work, and you're like, really? Am I going to end up with something that's going to be like cringe to the nines?
Yeah,
and so
girl
far,
boss in Witchblade,
so
I think
far
is what
not.
everybody was expecting.
Right, and the thing with Witchblade is there is a line that you can walk up to with Sarah Pazzini, because she's been just a badass female character since Jump.
Oh yeah.
However, there's that same line, you do not want to cross that, because then she becomes something she's not. And so far, she's done a pretty good job of keeping her true to the character. She's given her pretty much the same edge that she had back in the 90s and early 2000s. The art's been stellar.
Yeah, this art is great.
The pacing's been, and what's been super cool as well is like almost, I think every single issue, they've shown the artists like layouts and breakdowns and pencils in the backs of the books, which is like, I don't remember if they did it with this issue, but with a lot of them, Okay, yeah, with a lot of the other ones
they've got
did.
they've got these mini processes, not
Okay,
the full
I'm
ones,
talking
but...
like full page though.
Yeah.
Which is so cool to see. And it's just been a really strong book thus far. And as somebody who's been reading Witchblade since the 90s, as you can see on my Witchblade stuff, or at least I've got the special Kickstarter hardcover editions that are still sealed because I didn't need to open them because I have like 35 other different versions of them that I can read on my shelves and in my my short boxes. It's been great, and they are teasing the darkness coming.
I don't know if you saw or
I saw your face.
Yeah, because I saw that and I went, no way. I was like, he's back. It's the next issue. Oh my god.
Yep, they're bringing Jackie Estacado.
Yes.
So I'm super jazzed for that as well. It's just, I don't know, it's just been a fun book, man. And like I love cape stuff. That's my bread and butter. But as far as stuff that goes outside of that, Witchblade's always been my go-to. And I'm really pleased so far that this has been a strong book.
You don't consider Witchblade to be a cape comic?
I don't.
Really? Why not? Just because I generally would, because it's still the sort of superhero thing. But I'd be interested to see.
So I consider it more of a supernatural / urban type urban fantasy kind of a thing. I think a close, or at least the closest that I can come to it is if you were to completely remove, not necessarily in terms of power set, but in terms of maybe tone and stuff, remove John Constantine from the DC universe, and he's just his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't consider him cape stuff at that point either.
I wouldn't either, but I think where I lie with Witchblade is also more of what the book, like what the narrative is, which is like she is in New York fighting bad guys on the street to, not necessarily help the innocents, but she does that as a byproduct. So I think there's something there that makes me go, this is a superhero comic. But I agree with you. Like if you took this if you ripped this all away from its like setting, I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I agree with you. I know what you're saying. It's a very interesting angle I never considered. I have nothing against it. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's just the way I've always
got nothing
seen it.
off of it. Or nothing,
that's the way I've seen
it,
most image books. Really, is I don't usually view cape stuff as being associated them with like the exception of like Cyberforce.
What about like Spawn? Is Spawn more a Witchblade, or is that more of a, just for the sake of simplicity, a Batman?
I think Spawn is Batman
perfectly
with like,
in that,
he's really Batman meets Witchblade is what it is.
Honestly,
he's Batman fighting demons and stuff. Like instead of fighting the demon, Ra's al Ghul, he's fighting just straight up demons. Like, so that's kind of how I view
That's a good approximation. I can get behind that. But yeah, I'm glad Witchblade is good. I am glad that the darkness is clearly getting here. I need to catch up before that issue drops. We have what? This is monthly, I hope, right? Not bi-monthly?
It's monthly.
Okay,
yeah,
so thank goodness we'll be able to get through that. Or I'll be able to get through that, or have time to get through that, rather.
And there was a point where Witchblade would come out one week, and then Lady Mechanica would come out the next week, or vice versa. But now they're releasing on the same day. They're releasing on the same week.
Is it because of that weird, like, shipping?
I'm not
that
sure.
Happened? So many things are weird nowadays because of that one weird week that wasn't, like some books went out, I don't know. It was such a weird week, and we're still recovering from that. I have no idea. That's what I just blame every scheduling shift on, is that week.
Yeah. Yeah, it works for me because I didn't mind having both of my image books this week at all. Even though it was a very packed week for me with a lot of things, but I'm still happy to have two good books to read.
Yeah, it's one of those like oh, I gotta read that, but hey, I get to read that.
No, I get to read that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all know that sentiment. Punk says, I haven't read the newest issue of Witchblade yet. Well, good news. High recommendation here from Andrew. Hopefully, I didn't stay on any page too long that spoiled anything in particular. I don't know what's going on in the series right now. To me, this is all just pretty art. So if I screwed up, sorry, Punk or anybody watching. But yes, looks like Witchblade is a big W. And on that note, what about Lady Mechanica? Let's talk about Lady Mechanica while we're here.
So Lady Mechanica has been kind of a surprise book for me this calendar year, with just how good it is. The art is phenomenal. Sia
Yeah.
She's so great. Her style is super cool. The story has been really interesting. And this particular end to this arc, so it was only a 4-parter, and that
Mhm.
makes me kind of sad for a couple of reasons. But the end to this was very good. However, I do have one complaint with it. There's
Hit
a
it.
point in this book where it feels like they skip a bunch of time, and it's like I think it's like a handful of weeks or a couple of months, I can't remember, but it feels like they were initially going to do like a 5-parter and they cut it down to 4.
They had to condense it. Yeah.
So it feels like they trimmed it down, and it doesn't ruin the story, but it was momentarily jarring in terms of the pacing. I was like, "Whoa,
You're like,
we're
whoa,
here now."
Where are we? Yeah.
Like I had a moment of kind of like time displacement, and I knew what was going on, but I didn't understand when I was initially. And then like another page in, I was like, "Oh, okay. I know what we did here. Well, why did we do that?"
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess
See,
that's
yeah,
what we're doing.
here it is. How long have I been away? About 4 months. Truly, it seems like just a few days. Is that the one you're talking about? Or do they do
So that's
bigger
where they
one?
tell you how much time has
Yeah,
gone
yeah.
by, but it's a handful of pages prior to that actually where the jump happens. And it's when she decides to stay behind, because this whole thing is that she was commissioned to go find a missing research team. It turns out that the research team had been taken into this underwater cave by this kind of sea dragon type critter, who's adorable, by the way, and he's totally sea toothless.
No, I was gonna make a Jeff or a Jeff. I was gonna make a joke like he thinks he's Jeff. That ain't Jeff.
It's Jeff.
It's Jeff. By the way, everyone out there, I want you all to. We are validated. Andrew and I were fans of Jeff before Marvel Rivals. Get out of our houses. Continue.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so she this kind of sea dragon critter communicates telepathically with Lady Mechanica, or through via visions. It's able to project those, and she convinces it to allow the other people to leave. If she stays behind, it just wants somebody to play with it. It's the last of its kind.
Yeah.
And it's kind of heartbreaking the way that it ends. I don't want to spoil it, but it kind of like actually had me tear up for a second. I was like, wow, I didn't expect it to hit like that. What the hell?
Right.
It was a real shock to me. So that's even taking into account the fact that it felt like they trimmed a bunch and had to cut down an issue, and it threw off the pacing for a minute there. It still ended very, very strong, and I would definitely recommend. This is a super low commitment miniseries. It's only 4 issues, guys. I'm sure it won't be too long before the trade comes around. I would recommend if your LCS doesn't have all 4 floppies available, ask if they can back order them for you, and if not, definitely ask them to get the trade in for you, because this is a worthwhile read, and it does not require any prior Lady Mechanica reading. It is written in a very tight manner that allows it to kind of exist on its own. Like, they make a couple of references that you're like, oh, they're clearly talking about something that happened at some point in the past, and somebody did something fun, cool. But it has no bearing on the story that's happening.
It's one of those, like, it adds to the experience if you know it, but if you don't, you still get the experience. It's still 100% of the experience.
Correct. The story itself, in terms of quality, does not change.
Also, just even flipping through it, I can see what you're talking about like the heartstring tug point, and I'm like, yeah, I see it, and I know that it would probably get me when I read this, when I finally get to it. Now that it's 4, I'll probably just blaze through it. Yeah, I see what you're going for. Good news is it looks like they're doing the Scarlet Witch thing, which is they're just gonna have another Lady Mechanica mini come on next, which I guess that's working. I guess maybe that sells. I don't know how that works for sales strategies. You might know more, being with the Rippaverse. But you guys don't even do that release like this type. I don't know. Yeah.
I'll touch on that briefly. So I think what they're doing is that they're very cautiously, because comic books in general have been a kind of a precarious position for a few years now. And so what they're doing, I think, is pretty wise in that they're measuring their market from kind of month to month, and they're being very deliberate about the choices that they're making with this, because comics are a niche medium, and Lady Mechanica is no Spider-Man. It's an even further niche franchise, right? It's a very niche IP, even though it does well for its like scaling. Right. Everything's a matter of scaling.
All relative,
Marvel doesn't expect Punisher to sell like Spider-Man. But if the Spider-Man book is good and the Punisher book is good, then that will elevate automatically everything below it. So Punisher will ultimately sell well also. What I think they're doing is that they're just saying, okay, let's commit to this story here. We'll make it a short arc, and then maybe midway through or whatever, we'll gauge people's interest, we'll gauge our sales, and then if we have something already lined up afterwards, then by the time that final issue in that arc lands and ships, they've already got the next one advertised in the back because they're confident that they can then continue to roll over and reinvest.
That does make a lot of sense.
Rather than getting out ahead of themselves and all of a sudden tripping over themselves at a point where it's like, oh, well, we committed to too much and we're not actually seeing the audience interest there to be able to justify that commitment.
Man, that feels so weird from what I, understand of the comic book industry, which is very, very outdated because it's very rooted in like the early 2000s and such. But, they would just keep the series going, and if there wasn't waning interest, they would just, okay, let's switch it up. Let's get a new story going. They wouldn't cancel books. But it's like you said, comics are in a very precarious position. A certain Nick Fury mentions that in Ultimate Universe.
There were a couple of like super on the nose remarks in that book from him, and I was like, I see you.
Like, I see you guys. I see you guys. But
does anybody even still read those?
And he's like, you'd be surprised, but still, yeah. Punk says, this was my first time reading Lady Mechanica, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, Punk, because I didn't even know about Lady Mechanica before hanging out with Andrew, and anytime I hear him rant and rave about something, it makes me genuinely want to check it out, because when he likes something, it's genuine, and you can feel the genuine, this is sick, this is exciting. So it's always a good feeling, and I want to read it. I also want to read I think that is sort of the biggest compliment from my end, is that I don't want to just read this mini. I already want to dive into it. I'm already sold on the farm. You don't need to keep piecemealing it to me. But on that note, I also do, it's a very, very good transition segue, because we were talking about books that just keep getting canceled and rebooted and brought back for whatever stories. You're also reading Scarlet Witch. And I know you really liked this issue, and that's the reason I'm highlighting it in particular. Normally we go, you read it? Yeah, it was great. And we go, cool. But I know that you were particularly hot on this one.
It's so weird. And I've said this, I think, just about every single week that a new Scarlet Witch copy is dropped, in that it continues to surprise me that the book is holding my interest like it is.
Yeah.
Because I don't really care about Wanda's kids. I never have. So cool. They made them both gay, whatever. I don't care about your kids. I'm here because you're cool and super powerful and interesting, and you have an interesting cast around you. And they're adding new characters into this. So they have this new character, Amaranth, not Amaranth. That's the Twitch bitch.
I seriously do the same thing.
Or
I do the same
Amarath?
thing. Amarath, I
it's
think, is
so close.
Here it is.
Literally,
it's
I think
right
it's just missing the N.
It's Amaranth instead of Amaranth or whatever. There's no O or
gosh.
or whatever,
okay, so it's a
right
homonym is what it is. Got it.
Yeah.
Whatever. So they added this new character who we don't quite understand her powers yet, but she's got this weird relationship with magic. They utilized characters that you don't see that frequently in media anymore. You got freaking Warlock here. And it's just been a really fun book. And I gravitate towards the cape stuff for the most part.
Of course.
The magic users and stuff, even though it's funny, I love sword and sorcery and,
cool.
Might, magic, and dragons and all that. But when it comes to modern day and implementing magic, it really has to be something that grabs me.
Especially because you're a Harry Potter guy, and for anybody's criticisms about, where the series went with the movie, whatever, you have to admit that Harry Potter's world building is pretty damn good and pretty on point, in terms of, explaining it. There are no gaps in the logic of the world magic, I guess. Yeah, sometimes
well,
JK goes, sometimes he goes weird, and she's like, yeah, they just wand their poop away, but for the most part, her stuff is, very consistent, very clean cut, and makes sense.
Her world building does not require a doctorate to understand,
Yes.
nor 10 years of your life to learn. Like, if you want to really get into the nitty gritty of Tolkien's world, that's a commitment.
That is, it's a
That's
literal like
genuine
scholarship.
commitment.
Yeah.
And that's not knocking it. That's just how
No, not at all.
in depth and layered and incredibly like thorough he was with it. And that's not to say that Rowling wasn't thorough and didn't write deep lore to her world
Different
building,
way.
but
Different way.
she was writing to her audience, and her audience especially was that for the same age that the
12,
kids were in that first book.
Yeah, 10,
like
10 to 13.
Yeah, exactly. And then
They're
the
10,
books
right?
got
When you go to
progressively-
Hogwarts, right? That's the first
11.
age you go? 11.
Close enough.
Yeah.
But like the books and the characters aged up with the reader base, right? And so that was a really brilliant way to do that. So
What,
that
you're
it
telling me
didn't
that when
age out
we
of it.
got to Order of the Phoenix, she didn't reset the timeline and bring us back the kid versions that everybody loves so much?
No, she definitely didn't do that. But yeah, so I mean, this has been a really cool Magic book so far. They've introduced some new characters. I keep forgetting her name.
Lore.
Lore, that's right. She's new.
I like it.
Her design is super cool.
I saw her on a cover of one of these issues because I think she was like the villain of the last arc or something. And I remember seeing like, oh, that's a cool design. I thought it was a Wanda design, like an alternate thing. I always liked it. And I'm kind of glad to see she kind of exists as a like a Madeline Pryor type thing.
Kind of like that.
A dark shadow to Wanda, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not altogether inaccurate. But it's just been fun, man. And the art has been consistently like really solid in this book.
This artist
Really
always
solid.
like I like this artist, but they sometimes they do this thing, and they do it a couple times in this book where, like when they try to do more like exaggerated cutesy faces or comedic faces, it gets weird. Like I'm gonna zoom in here, like that.
Yeah,
I don't know, like her, like
I kinda see what you're saying.
Amaranth is a little weird there. Not there. There was another one on this page that I saw. Yeah, like up here. Like
Yeah.
I get what he's going for, or she. I don't know the artist. Like exactly, it is a Lorenzo. Okay, that's a guy. I see what he's going for, and I know like the feeling, but it just feels off compared to the rest of the artwork in the book. I don't know.
that's fair.
I could probably. Yeah, I probably need to sit with the book more and actually read it to know exactly what I'm saying. But I think everybody here might be able to tell what I'm talking about.
No, I got you.
But yeah, no, I'm glad this book is good. I'm liking every time I kind of crack it open just to flip through it and see what's happening. It always does seem interesting. I know you don't care about Wanda's kids, but I really like at least Wiccan because I was a big fan of that original Young Avengers run. So I'm glad to just see him like around, especially because Marvel kind of abandoned him. Like they did that awful.
They abandoned both of her kids.
Yeah, they really actually that is really true. Yeah, they're both sort of abandoned after that awful Empire event that nobody remembers anymore because it was just not good. Like it's not. I read it. It's not fun. There's nothing good out of it. Like I don't have a compliment for that. There's some good art, but I mean, of course, there's always going to be when you have an event and you put your big hitters on it, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, no, this book looks really great. For those of you who don't know, and this is why I used it as a jumping off point, this book has gone through, it's basically one series stretched over like 2-3 volumes, 4 miniseries, and however much more we're going to go. It's one consistent story, but it's sort of like what Andrew was saying, where Marvel is clearly testing, like, they'll give you like a 7-issue volume or whatever, and then, okay, is there demand? Okay, let's keep going. And they clearly, like, Steve Orlando has this all ready to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
you can tell like
strategy.
there's no like real separation from the mini series that preceded this current series,
Right.
which was Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Which was good. I read that one actually.
It was. It was really good.
Standalone. I read it, and yeah, that was really good.
It's what convinced me to continue with the book and continue with this.
I don't even like Pietro. I kind of hate him, and that book made me be like, all right, I can see you can hang around for a little while.
I've always had like a love-hate relationship with Pietro.
Really?
Yeah. He's one of those characters where I kind of love to hate him. I'm like, you're completely right now, but you're being a massive douche.
I think I can agree with that. And like I know a lot of people criticize it, but I even liked when he did his sort of heel turn for House of M, where it turned out he was the one like manipulating Wanda, and then afterwards when he tries to, he loses his powers after Wanda says no more mutants, so he tries to do this like infiltration to Adelan to get Terrigen gas to like restart his power. He becomes a right like bastard around there, and I thought that was a really good development for Quicksilver. I was just sort of sad that they didn't sit with it that long, because like right after that he gets redeemed and he's back on the Avengers, and I'm like, he's a dick. Just let him be a dick. Like
they didn't let it breathe long enough for it to be an organic kind of face turn.
But I also know what you're saying, because like especially way back in the early Avengers days, like with him, the kooky quartet, if you will, that's very much his character. Is like, Cap, we need to do this, and he's like, yes, shut up, do it, like go, fine.
Yeah,
he's like, that's what I thought, old man. So, I'm glad this book is good. I want to catch up with it eventually. I didn't notice this detail until right now. I like what they're doing with Wanda's hair. This like glowing flow thing. I don't know. You know me. I like those effects on everything. The Phoenix Fire, Scott's like visor. So that kind of stuff always looks great to me. So
it's a nice little visual flair.
And it's just, this artist is great.
That panel especially right there.
I really like that
panel 1. That's gorgeous. I turned that page and I was like, ooh.
I did too, and I was like bummed that it wasn't a full page spread. I was like, oh come on, that's a perfect one.
If I was writing that comic book, that would have been a splash.
That would have been your turn splash, like, oh hell yeah, like here we go. Yeah, but good book. If you guys are like Wanda, like any of these guys, check them out. Even if you don't, I don't particularly like any of these characters outside of Wiccan, and I'm still enjoying what I see of this book when I get around to it. But on that note, we are in the sort of wonky world of magic. Oh man, all of our books. I have a very good flow in my head of how our books are going. This is pretty damn good. I'm very impressed.
Dude, you got it down this week, man.
I know we have time issues, and I want to get to everything we want to talk about.
You might start convincing people you're a YouTuber.
Hey guys, hey everybody, we're gonna have a subathon. Everybody, we're gonna do 24 hours of Fortnite. Let's go. Actually, it's probably Marvel Rivals right now because I'm obsessed with that game. It's so good, guys. Highly recommend it. Someday when Andrew's schedule frees up and he has some free time, probably after Mary leaves, honestly, maybe we'll play it. Maybe we'll do a special foil variant stream, or maybe we'll just cross over our own Saturday business. Who knows? But very, very fun. If you guys like Marvel, if you liked Overwatch, definitely check it out. You won't be disappointed. They put a lot of like effort into that game. It feels like somebody
downloaded. I just have not had a chance to play it
yet.
Yet.
Like for somebody like us, you can get lost in just like the amount of presentation detail they did on everything. I don't want to get into it because we could go forever. But like for example, all of the characters, if you go to their profile in game, they have a lore section, which has like, just a small write-up about what that version of the character, because it's all multiverse stuff, obviously. But on each page, they have like the character's name, and then a fun little detail, they have like their signature, right? So it's like Peter Parker. But it's not just like, Peter Parker, Magneto or whatever. They go the extra mile where like Moon Knight's profile has all 3 signatures from his personalities, right? Magneto's signature is actually written in that Krakoa mutant language that they invented. So it's like they are really like, whoever did the presentation level was like, I like Marvel Comics. I want to share that love. And I think I showed this to you, or I mentioned it to somebody. Might have been Reeve or Adam. Shout out to you guys if you guys are here. But when you go to like the alternate costumes, if it's based on something like from a comic book or a movie, it will cite it. It will say like, this suit is from, Amazing Spider-Man 63, 2024, or this suit is from Captain America, the First Avenger, 2019 or whenever that movie came out. And in it, and even further, it has like a direct quote from the issue or movie relevant to that
I've
suit.
Seen a couple of those screenshots. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice little detail.
Right. And so like, that's the sort of like presentation level stuff where you didn't need to do it. It has no bearing on how good the gameplay is, but it shows
here's the thing,
care and commitment.
Team shooters like Overwatch, like Marvel Rivals, those games are made for a normie audience. Those games are made for, because video games is like it's one of the most normie mediums possible in at least insofar as many genres and many game types, right?
Yeah.
And team shooters that's definitely one of them. So if you see a detail like that, those people don't care, right? The dormies don't care about
that's a
that.
good point.
They
put that for
that
us.
in for fans.
Yeah, they put that in for us.
They went to that effort to put those little details in for fans, and that actually speaks very highly of the development team.
Yes, Andrew, as always, I say it. It takes me 300 sentences to say what Andrew can sum up in one. This is why he's the editor over at the Rippaverse. This is why he keeps those stories tight, and I'm a newsman, and I can give you all the damn details you need, even if you don't need them. But
you are a hard-hitting journalist.
I am the hardest-hitting journalist, guys. You don't even need to paywall for my articles. Don't worry. I will never put it up against a paywall. I promise you that.
The most magnanimous man in journalism today.
Look at me, the most trusted name. But so yes, on the subject of Magic and also I'm so mad every time I remember Chasm is in that game. I went on a mini rant on my Twitter. If you guys want to see it, I'll probably go on it. Or no, I went on it on last week's Good Mav Ugly. So y'all know my thoughts. I'm still salty about it. But on the topic of Magic, we have our latest issue of the Amazing Spider-Man. The third entry in the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man arc. First of all, Timon's here, says JMS is the first death of Spider-Man. I'm going to fight you, Timon. I swear to goodness, because that after the initial Stan Lee run, that JMS run is my favorite Spider-Man run of all time.
I'm just used to Timon having bad opinions, so
I'm used to Timon having I know what he likes. I know he likes more of the classic 80s, early 90s era, just anything.
I was going to say that seems like too much of a stretch for him. I thought he's golden age and nothing else. That's the way he comes across.
No, it definitely is like that. There's some times where I can get him to admit okay, I see the merits in that, but Timon, I know how Timon rolls. I like seeing it. It's always fun, and I know he's here in good faith.
Everybody is absolutely entitled to their own taste. That is why we have personal tastes, and personal preferences.
And yeah, I'm able to tell Timon I like that, and he's able to tell me, that looks stupid, and we both get to laugh, and it's good. Again, we're not attacking each other. Timon and I, we are friends. He's a good member of the channel, so yeah, exactly. I don't have the power of synthesis, but. So in terms of this issue, I know that as we sort of noted at the beginning of this stream, you and I were not the biggest fans of this issue. And even then, I think I
loved the cover for the variant that I got. And that was the thing I liked the most.
Let me go grab that. Yeah, that cover is, I mean,
the cover was
Spider
aces.
63 variant cover. I always like when I'm going through my pre-orders or whatever, I always like looking at covers that I think you're going to like, and I'm always yeah, that's probably going to be one Andrew will get, and then I always just predicting, that's all I'm doing is placing a bet.
Yeah.
I think he'd like that one, but let's see, why aren't you coming up? Oh, there it is, finally. Thank you, Unknown Comics, and you actually gave it to me in a giant, high quality image instead of a weird Google. Here's 100 by 300. Good luck with that. Let's make sure. Before I jump over that, I'm going to jump over to the right browser window. Okay, cool. I did. We're getting so much better. We are almost YouTubers. But yes, this cover.
Wood. Oh, that cover's so good.
It's so good.
Dude, that cover is okay, so
and it's
clearly
not even from one of our normal artists that we like Samazaki or any of them
When it comes to comic book art and comic book ladies in comic book art, I clearly have a type, and it's big goddess hair.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. You're totally right.
Big goddess hair Storm, big goddess hair
poofy,
Felicia.
Yeah. And Andrew's got the all the old 80s pinups of all the ladies with the big permed out hair.
Rogue when she had the big old hair and everything.
Wanda technically in Scarlet Witch right now. She's got her big poof going. You've got Wanda. The era of Carol of Carol Danvers. You could make an argument that her hair can get to that if somebody wants to draw her that way.
Yeah, there were plenty of times where she was drawn in such a way that her hair was huge.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, that's some Texas blonde hair.
yes, exactly. She was great. So I didn't even put that together. Yep, I didn't even put that together here for for this cover. Yeah, see, look at that. Nice cat. Nice black cat. Wow, why did I put the comment box up there? I should fix that someday. That is really dumb looking. But no, yeah, absolutely gorgeous cover. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm pretty sure Andrew would pick that one up if he's going to grab a variant cover. That one was
my shop didn't have cover A.
Really?
Left.
Well, I was surprised you got this one. This is like a ratio one. This was
it was like $15.
Oh well, kind of worth it. I'm okay with that.
It was absolutely it was either this or I always forget the artist's name, but the one that does like the super chipified covers that are super adorable.
Yeah, Scott something.
It sounds right. That sounds right. But
Scotty Young. That's who it is. I know. Yes, we all know.
The only other option, and I was like, I don't hate this cover, but I don't want this.
I don't want it for a cover for a comic book, right? You know what I mean? Or like, I like that. Like, I like his art for what it is. He's done some really fun stories. I don't know if you read, what was it, AVX back in the day, the one with Hope and the Phoenix Force and all that.
Yeah.
Like, dumb, very dumb. But he did a mini tie-in called like giant sized Avengers versus X-Men, but it was all like you know kiddyified, and it was like them on the playground, and it was really fun. It was a very fun book, sort of like in a Jeff style. But I wouldn't want, you know, Jeff in everything. I wouldn't want Jeff on my covers for Ultimate Spider-Man. So like I definitely
did
know
want
what you're
him
talking
in Venom more though.
Jeff! The people don't know. Guys, I will genuinely, guys, be making a compilation with like timestamps and everything to be like foil variant.
We're talking about Jeff.
Yes, before Marvel Rivals.
My name's Jeff.
My name's Jeff. Like, oh, dude, I can't even. I always say that when I'm playing the game. Like, it's real. And then I do the stupid thing where it's like you're here next to me, so I'm like playing, and I'm like, my name is Jeff. Oh yeah, like nobody's here. Like I'm not even playing with Andrew. Nobody cares about
it.
Right.
We'll fix it. We'll
get there. We'll get there. But first of all, we have Chuck is in the house. Always a pleasure to see you, Chuck. Chuck says Rogue had the big old booty and the big old hair. She did. She still kind of has the hair, at least when David Marquez draws her. Like the Uncanny artist, she still has the hair. Booty, I haven't really looked for it, I guess, in Uncanny because I'm so wrapped up in like what's really going on. But that upcoming Rogue Savage Land book it's got to have some great fan service. Like it's gonna have some cheesecake. I'm excited for it.
You don't do that book otherwise,
right? Which is like
it's the only reason to do that book.
Well, I don't know if you caught this. I wrote an article on it, but Tom Brevoort a couple weeks ago, somebody sent him an email and was like, "Why does Marvel put out so many damn covers with Savage Land Rogue? Not just for that series, but like in general, like they do a lot of them." And Brevoort, she was, the complainer or the critic was like, "We get it. She's like a nude girl. I thought we were like past this or whatever." And Tom Brevoort was like, "Here's the truth. I've never put in an order as the like executive editor of Marvel Comics. I've never ordered directly a Savage Land Rogue costume. That's all of our retailers and retail partners because they know it sells." And I'm just like, yeah, freaking duh. But so yeah.
Oh, you can pre-order the J. Scott Campbell variant for that right now on Tifa.
For what? Oh, for the for Rogue. Get over there. I think he's doing all of it. I think he's doing variants for all of that series because I know he has one for two. Yeah, dude, absolutely slam that down.
I'm gonna pre-order the first one and then find out if my shop is actually because I mean if that's the base cover, then I can add that to my list.
Oh yeah, you could. Yeah, you're just like regular pull list.
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted, because we were talking about J. Scott and you're here, when I searched for that variant cover, as you can see, a lot of the J. Scott variants came out, but here's that Ben one that I always like.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, the Gwen version he did, and then the standard Peter one, and then that Miles one. The Miles one, I actually kind of like the color composition here that J. Scott did. Like, he played with the reds and the blacks really well.
Yeah.
I would like... If in a perfect world, it'd be cool to have like all four of them in a display or whatever. Shout out to our boy Trace. He actually framed our J. Scott Campbell X-Men variants. They look fantastic. I haven't gotten around to it yet. Have you?
I have not framed them. No,
I know.
I just have them still all bagged and boarded.
I like looking at them, and when I reorganize, I like lay them out, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But then, yeah, I haven't really gotten around to it yet. But we look at us. This is what happens when two friends hang out and talk about things they like. We can get sidetracked.
Danger.
I was doing so well. At least I before the show I was like, if we're keeping it tight tonight, we have to avoid the Flash. We'll put off the Flash until probably the next issue, guys, because there will be a big Flash discussion coming up because he and I, as if you're not fucking, what the hell is wrong with me? Andrew and I have thoughts on it, but we also have thoughts on this new issue of Amazing Spider-Man. So as Andrew and I were saying, this issue is the third entry into the current, best way to describe it is filler arc, the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, first arc off of Zeb Wells. So one thing how do I go about this? First of all, before we even dive into the issue, I want to admit I wasn't the hottest on this costume at first, but it's starting to grow on me a lot. And I don't know if you share that same sentiment, but the more I see it in actual action, the more it kind of works for me. It's not perfect, but it's growing on me.
I wasn't a fan of it before, so I didn't outright hate it,
right?
But I wasn't a fan. Now I'm just kind of like, okay, it's fine. There are other, I can look at it and be like, yeah, it's not my favorite, but there are so many other Spidey costumes that I hate way more.
Oh yeah, way more. Yeah, I think again, guys, I think I mentioned this the last time we talked about it. I just really love all scarf designs, and then I'm a really big fan right now of when Spidey's doing magic, because then he gets that green glow. It's very shonen-y, so
it's cool. Yeah,
there's cool stuff I like about it. It's growing on me. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. It's not the streamer suit, right?
No. Oh God.
So
horrible to see.
I only remembered it because it's popped up in that Google search result, and I still have that on screen, the one we were just looking at. But if you guys remember, the entire plot of this arc is that because Doctor Strange is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme, Spider-Man has to step in and fight Chthon's 8 children, or not Chthon, Cyratak, the guy who gives Juggernaut his powers. He has to fight all 8 of his kids because it's this sort of regular agreement. Doctor Strange went to Cyratak, said, I need help defending Earth from magic threats. Will you do it for me? And he said, yes, but only if you can beat my 8 kids every 20 years, or I don't know how it works with Marvel's sliding timescale, but often, maybe annually, I don't know. But with Doctor Strange being gone and Doctor Doom being Sorcerer Supreme, now it's Peter. He is fighting Chthon's kids, or Cyratak's kids. Every time he fights one of them, he ends up dying, hence the title of this arc. And so far, if you guys have watched Foil Variant, at least on my end, I know Andrew to a lesser extent, but still sort of on the same vein, we've been interested in this. We're buying it again, right? I think that is a compliment to it.
Yeah, the fact that I'm buying the book is
the Amazing Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
And we've noted it's not the greatest story, but there are things we've liked. There are things we go, oh, that's cool. And as always, Ed McGuinness was supplying just the best art of all time because he is Ed McGuinness. And so in this book, we get our third matchup, and I feel like you're probably going to have the same criticism here as me, Andrew, which is, so this demon represents time. And so we kind of just spend the entire issue recapping Peter Parker's greatest hits. And it's really just we know that his pain and his failures drive him, and we didn't need to revisit them, have him continue to monologue to himself about how important this all was. It's just, it reminds me a lot of what we say about the mutant books, right? Where we get it, mutants have been oppressed and people hated them. Can we please move on? It's sort of literally the same thing that's happening here. And
it doesn't do anything special that gives it the justification to be going back to and trying to pull on these threads, pull on the heartstrings, utilizing these threads from particular moments in Peter's either past or potential futures.
Cyratak, right? Not Cyratak, Cyratak. I got to remember that. I'm trying.
It's a retarded name. I don't blame you. So
Juggernaut.
It just kind of, I don't know. It feels like it's unearned to be going through each of these moments because it doesn't hit. You think seeing that moment where Gwen's dead there, or the moment where, Peter can't stop Uncle Ben from getting killed, that, those should land. Those should hit. And they don't in this issue because it didn't earn it. It didn't convince you in the narrative that this was an organic transition in the story that
No.
would bring you. There was nothing that felt like it was leading to this point organically that would have the requisite emotional buildup to be there.
No.
It's like in stage acting, if you know, because stage acting is very different from on-screen acting.
yeah.
So in
Oh,
stage
yeah.
acting, the way that they block things out in terms of scenes is that there's a natural, organic progression in terms of the emotional kind of peaks and valleys that you go through for the performance. And that goes for both the audience and the
Yeah.
performers. And if you were to just jump into the middle of the show where there's this big emotional moment and you start there, you're not getting anything out of the actor, and you're not
Right.
going to get anything out of the audience either.
And
And
yeah,
that's
no,
what this felt like.
100%, because this is sort of the thing you would think would cap off like a big run, and all it is just a random like boss fight in the middle of this arc, right? A completely throwaway filler arc, and
Random flashbacks is what it feels like.
It is random flashbacks because it doesn't even add anything. He doesn't learn a lesson from it. He doesn't, realize something different. He just goes, I know I did this, but I've moved on. And it's like, yeah, we know. We've read the last 60 years of comic books. It's move on. Like that's probably one of the, even more so than the like refusal to let him like grow up as an adult and marry MJ and have a kid. It's this, what Marvel does is they keep Spider-Man as like the perennial guilt-tripped loser. He never really deals with like his guilt, which isn't to say he'd be fine and happy and move on and no power, no responsibility or any of that, but he wouldn't obsess over this stuff. He would come to learn. He would have perspective. And
that's called being an adult.
Exactly. And Marvel just doesn't let it happen, and it results in really dumb issues like this. In an otherwise, enjoyable ride, I would say. It's not like we were going on a great scenic drive, but it was a nice sunny day out. We had some good music on the radio. We were driving on the freeway, no traffic. So and now this is like, oh, why are you shutting down the lanes into one lane and delaying us by like 3 hours?
We went from a 4-lane down to a 1, and my exit's right there. So now I can't merge over.
Yeah. And now I have to go on your stupid detour like 4 miles out of the way.
That's what this felt like. And the way that they like, the way that he beats her too is so stupid.
Okay,
like, it's the worst part.
I do agree with you on this. So the way he
makes
beats
zero
her,
sense.
basically because she can control time. Anytime Peter tries to swing at her or touch her, she just warps time to a different era. That's why we keep jumping around to different events. She eventually warps them to the very first day of Spider-Man's career with the robber and everything. And I don't even... Okay, so what happens?
I don't even understand how this actually happened.
I do.
Like, I know what happened.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Like, I can explain it to you guys, but you're going to notice that even I'm not going to be able to, like... Well,
it's
I understand
you're not
it.
Convinced.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So what happens is Peter realizes, like, oh, the only way to beat her is by, like, a time paradox, because that'll break the rules of time and space, and that'll confuse her, and she won't see it coming. So what he does is he magics open a portal, just like... Or she opens up a portal to like the future of New York, and a future Spider-Man who has already gone through all of this decks her in the face. And that is the paradox, is that he's in the process of beating them and winning, but this one already has. But there's still the possibility that he could lose. So that's the paradox, but it just feels Deus Ex Machina. Like he just pulls it out of nowhere and says, this is how I beat her, and then it's done.
I can't believe I'm going to do this.
Hit me.
Because it just dawned on me now. Where this came out of. Okay. So there's a line that he asks at some point during the book where he asks her something about, like, you already know how this turns out, right? You already know.
Oh, yeah, he does say
right?
that.
And I think that might have been his brain trying to work out if there was a way around this time stuff, is I think what we're supposed to believe. And that's why he has the idea of going to future self, because future self would have already beaten her. And that's why he was asking if she was confident about the outcome, right? Confident about whether or not she does beat him. Because if she did, then there wouldn't be that future Peter.
Right, exactly. But that's the paradox, is that he's in the middle of it. So like if she wants, so like that's where time travel gets weird when you don't have like really good,
dumb.
when you don't have really good established rules on how things work, it gets
and Marvel
wonky.
definitely does
and
not.
Marvel does not, especially like when Spider-Man's I don't know. It was really weird. It was really dumb. It didn't add anything. I was also super confused for a second because I was like, is that the Peter from like right now? Or from like the 60s, you know? Is that the Peter from the crime
There
scene?
was a
Especially 'cause
moment where I thought
highlight
that
his
too.
web, like his pit web
Yeah.
so much. I was like, oh, that's a visual indicator, but it's not. And I had to like read these pages a couple times over. I was like,
Yeah.
what's happening here? But then then the book gets really stupid and it ends with a date between Shay and Peter. Nobody cares about it. Peter's crashing out. He's all pissy at his friends and family because he's tired from dying all the time. It's really not that interesting. The people part of
The conversation
Peter's life
between
right now,
him and Felicia isn't even particularly interesting
it's
either.
not, which is kind
It's
of
just kind of
sad.
there. Like, that's a good panel of her.
Oh, yeah,
but
no, this
like
is all
apart
great.
from that, like there's all of a sudden her hair looks really weird in the succeeding panels after that, though, for me.
Oh no, the way it droops. Yeah, no,
Her
I
hair
noticed
looks
that
like
too.
her hair looks like it's being drooped and done like MJ's. in
Yeah,
there. And I'm
it
like,
does.
why does she have like MJ's bangs and
I feel
hair
like that's
length and
not
all this?
intentional, but it's probably just like a bad, like lazy artist, or like they didn't try that hard or whatever. Because
Maybe.
yeah, but no, I agree with you. So he goes from yelling at his friends to reaching out to Felicia for sort of advice to reconnect and apologize, and they just have this little talk about like, hey, if you need anything, call me. Okay, call me too. And then yeah, he goes on a date with Shay. It ends
And nobody
with
cares.
and nobody cares. There's also this really stupid moment where like the next two Sidorak kids are like, let's go kill him. And then one of them's like, no, we need to observe him and learn him. And I'm like, no, you don't. Just go fight him. You don't need this. This is nothing.
You're dumb.
This
is why you're going to lose.
But then, yeah, no, that's why you're going to lose. But then kind of to what we were talking about with the X-Men, we do get I actually liked this scene because it shows, it's that magic Juggernaut dynamic that you and
That
I
we
have
were
talked
just talking about
that we
last
really
week,
like.
yeah.
So they're sort of hanging out. You see them casual, and Juggernaut, I guess, probably gets like a summons in his mind from Sidorak, and he's gonna go join the fight. Who knows? But I like seeing them all. I like Juggernaut a lot right now. The way he's currently being written, I like Magic a lot. So that like last page was a lot of fun, but the rest of this was just nonsense. Like
It wasn't worth the price of admission.
It really isn't. It's just retreading everything. And I wanted to note something because when I got done with this issue, I was like, this feels so different from what we have gotten. And I particularly noticed it here, where when Peter dies right here, all we see is like the Reed disappear. But in the last few books, when that happened, we would A, actually see him die, and B, have a conversation with Coulson, who is death right now. What opinions on that change aside, like those, I have to admit, at least on my end, those little moments were kind of the heart like string pullers, where he's like, oh, it's like hang in there, man. Like I'll see you soon. And he's death, and so he's got this like omni physical presence of everything. And this one just cuts to, okay, you're good. And I was like, that feels weird. That doesn't feel right. This one is written by Justina Ireland, and the last few were written by Joe Kelly. And so I think Justina
that
takes
was
over.
something that I noted. I completely forgot about that. I remember opening up the book and being like, wasn't Kelly
Like,
writing
wasn't
this?
Kelly here? I think, unfortunately, I think she's the writer for now, like for the next few issues. I think that was a big discussion point a couple months ago. So that actually kind of really disappoints me because, like I said, it was a kind of fun ride, just casual Sunday drive with Kelly, but Justina, yeah, didn't put her best foot forward, really retreaded a lot of the same stuff we've already seen before. And I don't know, again, took away like the one big emotional crux of the book, which was Peter dying. Like, yes, he dies, we see it, but it's not as visceral as being ripped to shreds by, like atomization or being, completely crushed into atoms. So yeah, at least on my end, very disappointing outing. Makes me very worried about the next few issues.
Yeah, especially if it's the same chick
yeah,
writing.
that's
Like,
what I was thinking.
And we've made no two bones about praising talented female writers and comics.
Absolutely
on this
not.
show.
We're about to.
This just wasn't one of them.
This just
At least not. And maybe she is with a different character or a different story, but definitely wasn't on this one.
Yeah, like she's written Spider-Man before, back in like the 90s and like the early 2000s, and they're always she's fine at it, but this is not.
This wasn't it. This was not the business.
This was not the business. But considering you want to talk about business, Juggernaut here was getting ready for some business, but you know what
That
business
seems like
he
a
was
great segue.
also taking care of? Yes, exactly.
Boom!
See, I told you everything is rolling, everything is working
All
perfectly
the stars
tonight.
are aligning.
They really are. Speaking of great female writers, we are back with another fantastic issue of Uncanny X-Men.
Uncanny Peakmen.
Uncanny Peakmen out of freaking Gail Simone of all people.
Can't believe we're still doing this.
I can't believe we're still doing this, and I can't
I can't believe she's still doing this.
And it's been so we are 7 issues in, and she has
This
just
issue
been
immediately
rocking.
after just kind of how unsurprisingly mid the first part of this raid on Graymalkin
Seriously.
interline event was, like, she immediately elevated the event.
Mm-hmm.
It was she injected NOS right into it.
Well, like if you remember last week when we were talking about the Uncanny Midmen from Jed McKay, or not the Uncanny Midmen, just the Midmen. That's right. That's what that book is. You and I were like, this issue, we kind of tore it apart. We were like, this, aside from, I think, and this was at least on my end, the prison scene with Cinder, and that's probably just because I really like Cinder a lot. Aside from that scene, you and I were like, this sucks. This is really bad. The writing is dumb. Why do they have a warship? Like, what is even any of this?
That looks like a freaking sperm whale or something.
It shows up in this issue and it looks better, but it's still like you still have a warship. Like I still don't know why.
It looks less cartoony.
It
looks less like it belongs in some like mid-2000s Cartoon Network show that was made for kids,
like a Duck Dodgers episode.
Yeah, like the design
it was really bad. But that was Jed Midkay. As you all know, he is Jed Midkay. Meanwhile, Gale over here is, I feel like you don't even need to, I mean, we have 2 more issues, but I feel like I could almost say you don't need to read Jed's book for this, because he kind of fumbles. He gives you the most mid-interpretation of these events. Like this is such a good example, is go read that issue, go read this issue. They both cover roughly the same events from different viewpoints, obviously, the Psych team and the Rogue team.
But we get a little further along in events in this one.
A little, just slightly, but everything makes sense in this book, and everything runs together. Whereas in Gale's, in X-Men, if you remember, we were like, this is just we've seen this. Oh, we have to go to the Xavier school. It's been taken over. We need to free the people, whatever. Like, we've seen that. But here, Gale actually goes out and we finally get like the story, right? And so I'm trying to think of how to like recap this without spending too much time, but basically we open with Rogue reaching out to Cyclops, talking about the fact that Jubilee and Cinder were captured, saying we're going to go get them. And Scott is saying, no, don't, like, we're going to go get them. And Rogue basically tells him, piss off, like, stay out of my way.
Yeah, shove off.
I really liked this interaction.
There's good internal dialogue for her as well during that phone call.
Like, I really liked this moment right here where she's like, he's not hearing me, intentional or not, he's not hearing me. Because, like, that suggests, like, he's not being malicious. He's not trying to, like, ignore her or shut her down. But he's just not doing it. And we've all been there before. We've all been talking with somebody we're like, they're just not hearing me. They're not listening. Frustrating. We all resolve it eventually, whatever, but it's very, very frustrating in that moment. And, so we've all been there. I thought that was a really good, interaction.
It was a human moment.
It was a very human moment. And then we get the Uncanny team teams up with the Outliers. They all get ready to go. We get this pretty damn cool shot of Gambit using the
I would love the unlettered version
me too.
of that page.
David Marquez has killed it. But yeah, this is Cyclops using Gambit using the Eye of Agamotto that he got in. Yeah, I know. I was looking over at the chat, but it's the Eye of Agamotto that he got in the very first issue. Now he's actually like finally unleashing its power after using it against the the Sarah, like the mother, whatever her name was, like her troops, she got rid of them. We got another missing dog poster. We got another missing Sparky dog poster.
I noticed that.
I wonder if that I don't know what it's gonna do, but I kind of hope, even if it's just like the last issue, somebody's in the background like Sparky came home last night. Like I'll be like, that's a fun little background story.
I hope it resolves. Yeah, that little it's not even a B story or a C story. It's like a G story.
If that, yeah. But I'm invested in it, Gail. You got me. I'm
invested in Sparky.
But so this is probably the one thing I had a sort of, not issue, but it kind of made me confused, and you can, push back or help push back against me again like you did earlier. You can just do it live now for our viewers. But if you guys remember from the last issue, when Cinder was in prison, the director or the warden of Graymalkin came to her and was like, here, if you sign this paper saying you're not a mutant, we will let you go now because your family paid for you to get out. And she goes, no, I'm a mutant. And she sits down, eats her food, and that's what leads Beast to getting like the shit whacked out of him because he stands up for her. And so in this issue, we kind of pick up with her already being released. Like she the director is like, just get her out of here. Paperwork's all done. I don't know. It felt weird to me. It just felt like there was I feel like you need to sign that paperwork before they'll let you go. So it just felt odd to me. But then you brought up like, it's just the money. It's just her family is rich as hell. They probably just paid to get her out. So whatever.
Yeah. And that's not to say that that's like good reasoning for it.
But it works.
I think you still could have done something a little bit more. Like maybe this required another page, right?
Or even just like a dialogue
panels.
Or just say something like, I know you didn't want to, sign it, but we forged your signature or something. Like, who cares? Now get out of here.
We're being paid a lot of money by your state. So get the hell out, right? And so it I don't love that they did it that way, but I'm not mad about it either. I'm just kind of like, okay. Like, that's not the best way to do that, but it's definitely not detracting from the book in any significant way.
No, it's definitely not a significant detractor. It was just one of those moments where I was like, what? Wait a minute, huh? So, but does not take away from the rest of the book. Speaking of,
she has a badass moment later.
She has so many. I love Cinder so much. I love this character. She's a great
character.
But there's
I hope she sticks around and has some more.
I really hope she sticks around, and I don't want her to have a villain arc, which I feel like would be. I don't think Gale would do it, but I feel like whoever comes next, depending on the
somebody
talent,
else would probably
somebody's gonna do
like, ooh, we're gonna have this new young mutant have a villain arc because we've never seen that before.
Oh
in X-Men comics.
Check that out.
Just like we've never seen mutant oppression in X-Men comics,
and just like we've never seen people not liking mutants. Oh my goodness! But so there's the warship that Andrew and I were talking about. Looks better here, but still very, very stupid. It's just less cartoony, like Andrew said. But so they launched the raid on Graymalkin. We saw all of this in the X-Men book, in Jed's book. But this is the part we didn't see. So while Cyclops and his team are inside raiding, Cinder, she got thrown out. She's saying, I'm going to walk home. She starts having these delusions where it's like, come home to your mom. And remember, she was like super abused. So she's not in the right mindset just as a person.
She was basically being raised in a cult-like environment.
Yeah. Like a singular cult environment. Like not even anybody around. It was like her mom and her. Like her mom was putting her in a cult. But
I want to note something real quick before we continue with the Cinder stuff, because the Cinder stuff's super cool that we're about to get into. Go back a page where we have, where we've got Marco crouched there. That's a big difference in tone from the one panel that we see Juggernaut in Mid-K's book, because in Mid-K's book he's literally just standing around.
Well, he's standing. I think he might be stretching his leg, like doing the pull it up behind me, like before you like get ready to run. But it's not dynamic at all.
He looks ready to go, right? And that's something that would have been in the script. That would have been in the panel description, where Gale would have said, Kane Marco is, in a runner's, sprinting block position.
He's
ready to go, and he's ready to be on call for when Scott gives the order, right? Make sure it's a slightly below up shot to where you're kind of looking him super imposing from the front. So, you know, his muscles are really popping out and things like that. And it
They
also
really
gives
are.
this great layout and dynamicism that it looks like he is really ready to be a freaking freight train. And that comes through here. That once again tells you Gail understands these characters because she understands the types of poses and paneling that people want to see out of these characters. I don't want to see
Right.
Juggernaut just standing around or stretching. No, I
No.
want to see him, if he's not in freight train mode, I want to see him in like freight train neutral.
Yes,
right?
freight train. Like he still should be big and giant, and like, oh yeah, this guy can
He's
still
just
crush me.
waiting for that starter pistol to where he shifts it into gear and then he wrecks everything, right? And that's what this is.
And I think another thing is that pose and like the difference in the poses communicates such a different tone to the story too, because here you have him, you know, are you ready to go, Juggernaut? And he's, you know, down. You've got like the dark shadowing, like you were saying. We're looking up at him. He has this line. He doesn't say this line about the hair's going to kick the turtle's ass. He doesn't say that in X-Men. This is only here. So he says this line. He's in that runner's position. It makes you think this is a mission. Like they are ready to go. This is, he's the secret plan B or whatever. In the other book, since he's just standing there, it's like what we said, where it doesn't feel like there are any stakes here. It was just super simple. It wasn't really a raid. It was just, hi, we're here, bye. Right? Oh, you popped into the middle of the sky with your sky cruiser. Juggernaut's just standing there. Okay.
It felt like they were playing on journo mode, basically.
They basically kind of were in X-Men, but then we get the real mode, if you will. So, yeah, we get this awesome Juggernaut setup, but then we go to Ember, or not Ember, that's the horse, but we go to Cinder. She, you know, makes this decision that I'm not going to run away. I'm going to fight with the mutants. The Uncanny X-Men are just crawling up to the facility, and she just gets her horse, and she just starts going ape shit. Like, I love it.
It's a fun scene because they're talking back and forth to each other, like trying to sort out how exactly they're going to breach the perimeter and breach the building, right? And then she just comes barreling through on this flaming stallion, and you're like, I'm here for
like,
it.
All right, Leroy, let's go. We're in. Leroy Jenkins. So everybody like jumps in. I liked this little nod because they don't really address it in the rest of the book, but with the Death Kid, he's like, I thought I saw little demons coming out of the dirt. No one, just me. And if you remember, part of the attack plan was Magic summoned Limbo.
Magic was going to summon Limbo, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, hey, that's a fun little detail. Like, look at that. That's
I did
cute.
notice that. I was like, oh, okay, nice.
I was like, oh, that's
Look,
fun.
Gail's paying attention. At least somebody here is.
And I just love this too. Like Cinder just keeps going. Like does not even care. She's just straight up barreling through everything. So then we get Jubilee. She's breaking out of her prison cell. Yeah, there's really nothing much to do with my girl, unfortunately, in this issue. But then we get the ending scene from the last book where Blob shows up, attacks Cyclops, and Rogue comes in and, you know, takes his powers and knocks him. And I really liked this detail. I don't know if you picked up on it, but at the end of the last book, these are the 4 X-Men we see confronting Scott. Like, it's Rogue, Wolverine, and those 2 kids. In this book, like, a lot of times what books will do is like, oh, we ended on those 4, and then we go to the next issue, and it opens with everybody in the shot. And I always go like, what? That was weird. Did they all just, like, rush up, like, in 2 seconds? I don't know. Weird.
Right.
But here, they actually, like, if you follow...
There's continuity.
There's continuity. Like like Kurt and Wolverine go one way, or like Wolverine goes with Rogue, Kurt goes somewhere else. So that lineup makes sense here. And I was like, that's good detail. Like, I like that. Good job, Gail. Like, again, just good job. But then we get, you know, the confrontation between the 2 teams, and they're like, you know, stand down, like, let me move, yada yada. Turns out I guess this guy named Scurvy, I don't think we knew his name, but this bald dude who's been hanging out with the warden, he has a power to, I guess, we don't get an exact description, but it looks like manipulating emotions, heightening emotions, if you will. So that leads to us having our superhero fight, which genuinely just the least, like, I don't really care about this because we all know
there's always the least interesting things about any issue where they happen.
Yeah.
Though I did like the moment that Rogue and Scott had when he threatens to blast her, and she's like, did you not notice that I just absorbed Blob? Like, Try it.
Oh yeah. Where does she say that? Oh yeah. Don't make me blast you, Rogue. Did you not just see me absorb the blob, Scott? Take your shot. And then I love that. Like this is my Cyclops. Like he's only like when his plans come together, he can get cocky. He's not cocky all the time, but he knows like when he's pulled something off, he's pulled something off. Because then, I already did, and that's when we finally get Juggernaut.
That's when we get the Juggernaut,
which is what you and I said last week. We were like, we want to see that. Like, where's that run? Do it. And
there it is.
So here he is. He's just
Gail gave it to us.
Thank you, Gail. I can't believe it. It's Gail Simone. But yeah, we just get. I just wanted to go back to this page real quick because everybody forgets, I think, that Hank's mutation is not his brain. It's the fact that he is a literal like lumbering pile of muscle. Yeah. And so in this scene,
strong as hell. He could rip you limb from limb.
So in this scene when Jubilee sort of does the like, my friend will have a word with you, and he shows up, and Marquez like killed it with that panel. I was like, yeah,
great dynamics.
I don't even like Beast. I don't even like Beast, and I was like, that's like, this is what I'm talking about. Let's go. I also noticed that Cinder made like a fire flail or like a morning star, and I was like, dude, this girl, she has no idea what she's dangerous.
Yeah. She's
just like making medieval warfare weapon.
She's making it up as she goes along, and she doesn't know how she's doing it. But it could be a problem. Like I'm with you. I hope it's not like a villain arc problem.
No.
It's clearly, I think it's pretty obvious that there's an easy in for just like a conflict. Doesn't know how to control her powers.
Yes, something like that. A break in her mental state, but not in a villain way. Just in sort of like a panic, anxiety way that makes her powers go out. Who knows? But yeah, you're totally right. There is something there. But then after Juggernaut blows in, we see the cell where they've been hinting that it's Charles Xavier in there, but I don't think it is. It's got to be, just in classic comic book writing, it's going to be a bait and switch. Not in a bad way, just like it is what it is. But then we end the issue with the X-Men sort of teamed up, standing on the same side, and we get what did they call this? They call them something. They're like there's a name for the mutants that Graymalkin has captured and are using for their attack
and it's
process.
Escaping me right now.
Right, and they've only used it like 3 or 4 times, but they say it in this issue, and I don't want to bore everybody by like sitting here and pouring through each bubble. So all you need to know is that this is how the issue ends. We have Blob, Siren, and I think that's Toad. I thought it was Toad last week, but he's got like...
they named Toad last week.
But this guy's got like feral claws. So I don't know. I don't know who it's supposed to be.
I got nothing then.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I just remember them naming Toad in one of the issues.
So, but this is how it ends. This was probably, I told this to Andrew, I wouldn't even say it's a disappointment, but sort of like a, moment for me was, we've seen these 3 before already, and I sort of thought, if you're going to have your splash page that is like, oh, look, it's the mutants but they're against you, it would have been more, like we would have seen more just general mutants, maybe somebody more than Blob who's recognizable. I mean, I don't know who's all doing what right now. Bishop's got to be doing nothing, right? Throw Bishop in there, something like that. So that was, again, not even really a complaint, just more of like I expected something
even go freaking easy mode and throw in Sabretooth.
Sabretooth would have been super easy. Just
like give Logan something to do.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. But yeah, so that is the end of. Also, I don't remember where they introduced the dogs. It's in some issue. I think it might have been an X-Men.
I don't think they introduced them yet, but they talked about them in this issue.
Well, no, so that's what I'm trying to say. I think it's in like one of the X books you're not reading. So it might have been it was at the very end of X-Force. I remember that. And I only know this because somebody said it on Twitter, so I went and I looked at it. But at the end of X-Force, you learn that they're like, so those dogs are real dogs infected with Sentinel tech by the Graymalkin people. Like it's an intentional thing. But so in that X-Force issue, it actually kind of sucks because like you see, I actually have it on hand right here. We can just take a look at it. So this book sucks. I don't really recommend it for anybody unless you're like a giant Forge fan, I guess. All 4 of you. But
I was gonna say,
Oh, was it
Deus Ex Machina, the character?
Dang, maybe it wasn't X-Force. It looks like it's not X-Force, but that's
a cool cover though.
Oh yeah, no, great cover. The covers have been pretty spot on for this book so far. But where was it? Was it here? Okay, it's somewhere.
The character.
It's somewhere in here, guys. I know that. Oops, now I've closed everything. Now I need to pull back up. Uncanny. But yeah, there's one X book that explains that they are like actively testing on dogs to make those, and the scene is like they infect the dog, and then the dog immediately like wakes up from sedation and tries to end itself because it realizes like it's in hell, and then it like deletes itself, if you will, and the warden's just like, get me another one, we'll go. And at that point I was like, I don't like you anymore. I don't want any like redemption for you. You hurt the dog. No. I'm done with you.
Yeah, you can die now. Knowing that, like, that makes me genuinely hate her.
Right, like she's not
you
a
are
good
now
person.
Considered irredeemable in my eyes.
No, 100%. Okay. Like after I saw that, I was like, do not put Sparky in this program. Sparky better not go to this program. But yeah, so they've introduced them. They've explained it. It's not that great, but it is there. It's around. But yeah, that's the. It's a pretty straightforward issue, but it's just a damn good issue. It is so. Gale just keeps peeking out. It's ridiculous. I don't really have anything else to say over that.
She hasn't let us down yet.
Hasn't let us down yet. Really looking forward to her next issue of this crossover. I don't really care about mid-Ks, but obviously Gale's going to kill it. So 7 issues in, Gale. Keep it up. And also, in case you guys didn't like, this cover is probably my cover of the week because it's incredibly done. Like, it's well done, but it's also a Marvel vs. Capcom homage. Especially hilarious considering they did here's the Marvel vs. Capcom covers. Oh, it's just going to be, the old art we used for
so
2.
Lazy. So ridiculously lazy. It's like, annoying. So I picked up this cover and I picked up the Brooks cover.
Which was, for those, like the Brooks cover, I don't have it on hand, but we talked about it. He's getting better at composition, which is like, kudos to the guy. I know a lot of people do not like him for reasons, but his art is improving.
For those reasons.
Right, I know. Yeah, neither do I. But
when he's on it art-wise,
you got to give people credit when they win. That is a handsome man, isn't it? Yeah, look at Cyclops. Look at that jaw. Look at that man jaw.
Wow.
But yeah, and look at Cinder just on the cover, just like glowing. Like, I don't know, she's so cool. She is a cool character. She's so cool.
I'm here for it.
But speaking of Cinder and glowing and fire and mutants,
man, you're just on a roll with the segues right now.
It is working tonight.
What is going on?
We are killing it tonight. Oh no, I went to the last page because that's what I was reading last.
Right
I know. End. I just blew away everything.
Just Tarantino, the whole damn stream. Just crash this train.
You know how I like to do. I like to mess everything up. But yes, we have our next issue of Phoenix is here. And Andrew, what did you think about this issue? I'll let you start this one.
I was pretty on board with it, honestly, because it's doing exactly what I said after issue 1 or issue 2 of this series, where I said I think we're on course for a collision between like fully realized and in sync Jean Grey Phoenix versus the Mad Titan Thanos, and I'm here for it. And that's exactly what this issue is like, very directly and explicitly setting up for us. There's some fun stuff that we get to have with Nova. I really enjoyed the back and forth between them during those scenes because I like Richard Rider. I think Nova's a cool character. And as soon as this opened up and I saw the Black Hand, I'm like, okay, yeah, here we are. We're doing this now. We are actually,
we're getting into it now.
Yeah, like, thank you for the confirmation that I was correct. Save your applause.
You were.
And we're gonna have a real, I hope, knockdown drag out between Jean Grey and Thanos. I'm totally here for it.
Yeah. So guys, the big chunk of this issue really is just Jean and Richard Rider sort of repositioning themselves, having learned of Thanos's rise to power in the last issue, his working with Pericles or whatever that weird beetle dude looking guy, whatever his name is. This guy, I think it's Pericles or Pericus, right?
Pericus,
so we basically, it's kind of like what Andrew was saying. It's really setting the stage right now for that confrontation. We're getting to see, Jean Grey is sort of on the outs. She's learning that more people are afraid of the Phoenix and they are welcoming of it. Thanos has this new mind control, or the Warlock's Eye, which was introduced in Thor 129. I always love when writers can go like really far back and grab something. I really like that. But
right. Hey, good job doing your homework.
Right, exactly. It is a bit of a Deus Ex Machina type thing. Like, oh, you just pulled it out of your butt to give him.
It's a
more...
MacGuffin. Yeah,
MacGuffin's the better term. But I still was just like, at least it was a MacGuffin that you went back for. You didn't make it up wholesale. Like, oh, I have the Thanos key now. And
you worked with stuff that was already in the tool chest.
Yes, exactly. You didn't have to poop it up everywhere else. But yeah, so that's what this issue basically is. Not too much to write home about in terms of action. We do get that really fun scene that Andrew was talking about of Phoenix and Rich going crazy on the Black Order's fleet with some good back and forth between them. I really do like Rich. I like Rich a lot when you remember that he is sort of the mix a little bit of early Luke Skywalker with Han Solo at this point, right? Like he's a little roguish, but he's also very dutiful. But he also he's a kid at heart. Like that's exactly what this exchange was here. He's like talking about code names, and Jean's like, "Why did I have Phoenix?" And he's like, "'Cause it's fun. Like, don't ruin this for me." And so he's just a big kid.
Why are you calling me Firebird? Like, and it's literally what you are.
Like, it's cool. It helps. And so I always like when Rich shows up. We do get a dumb person or hero on hero fight because I guess that's the trend for the X books this week. Luckily, it only lasts like 2 pages.
I was gonna say it's like a 2-page thing. Though that third panel right there
of Rich landing
Nova
and
is so cool.
I really
That's like
like
some
that one.
Great movement there. That is excellent.
So this artist is actually different than the artist who's been doing the book, and so Timon brings up here like, holy bad art, Batman. I wouldn't say necessarily bad, but I think it is very significantly different from the work we were getting before, and it's especially noticeable in these moments with her flames, right? Because they're not bad from this artist, but the way whoever it was before was doing it,
they don't look as much like actual fire.
They feel more like energy, like cartoon energy, if you will.
And they almost feel like solidified energy. They feel more like energy constructs from a laser ring. Yes,
like a Green Lantern or something. Flame. Yeah. Whereas the last artist, like it felt like those flames were like licking the page, like they felt like they were roiling off of her. So I already missed that. That'll probably just be a personal thing I have to get used to for these issues going forward because I really like that. But then
that and other initial artist was phenomenal. I don't dislike this artist.
No, and that's what I'm saying.
But I did like the other one more.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like they're not bad, but
they have some great panels.
They have some great panels, and they have a great sense of movement, a great sense of composition. It's just I missed the other person. The other person had like the best. They were a good fit for the book. Like they were a perfect fit for a Jean Grey book. But yeah, so then we end this issue with Nova gets knocked out of his little angry trance, and we learn that Jean Grey sent out a distress signal to the galaxy for allies, and she gets 4 responses, or 3 actually. Captain Marvel, Rocket Raccoon, and Sif. Okay, so this is where it fell apart for me, man. Like, I'm not even going to lie. You have Phoenix putting out like an all-universe APB. We need to fight Thanos. And you get these 3? Just these 3. Like,
okay, I was gonna say, like, if
I would expect them to show up, but
bad characterization aside, I would want Carol Danvers on my team to go against Thanos.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Like 1,000%, absolutely. But I also would have asked for more backup than this.
well, that's what I mean. It's like it's either scenario where she either only asked for the 3 of them, or she asked for everybody and nobody showed up. Both of those seem a little stupid to me, right? Like, again, sure, maybe not everybody likes the Phoenix, but if you go, hey, Earth, Thanos is back and he can control people's minds with this thing Thor fought before, somebody will answer. Doctor Strange technically isn't doing anything right now. He's alive. He's just not doing anything right now. He's not the Sorcerer Supreme, so send him out there. Where are the rest of the Guardians? They're not doing anything right. Like, so it just felt weird. It just felt like this wasn't sort of like it was undeserved, right? Like this is supposed to be your big like rally moment. Like here comes the cavalry, and she hasn't needed a cavalry really. She's taken on everything on. She literally just turned Gore into a fucking star. She does not need Rocket Raccoon. I like Rocket, I do, but you don't need him if you can turn.
Rocket isn't bringing anything to this conflict.
He's genuinely not. Even like I would even hesitate to like invite Sif because Sif's an Asgardian and a great warrior. But still, she's just like a peak warrior. She's not. Yeah. She's not Carol Danvers, cosmic like powered. Where's the Silver Surfer? Where's literally
Carol
anybody
makes
else?
sense here.
Yes,
bring
Carol
Thor.
Bring Thor with you. Yeah, that's a good. Bring Hulk, right? Like you have Banner with you.
You have Sif here. Why do you not have Thor?
Why do you not have Thor? Why don't you have the other Warriors 3? Right? Like I know they're not doing anything. They're not big enough characters right now to be
Marvel
doing
doesn't
anything.
give them anything to do.
Yeah, exactly. So I know those dudes are doing like nothing right now. So that was just sort of what threw it for me. I'm like, that's it. And like again, either way you frame it, it's either that's it, that's all you called, or that's it, that's all the people who responded, and it still just doesn't. Scott and the X-Men literally warped over Graymalkin with a warship. That seems like it might be helpful here. That's all I'm saying. And you were talking to Scott. You were talking to Scott in this issue. Yeah. Get some help, girl. Like, yeah, I don't. That's just where it all fell apart for me. If Nova wasn't already there, I would be saying like, "Where's Nova?" Like that would be call number one. Would be call freaking Nova. But yeah, as it is right now, like I'm gonna keep reading. I'm still excited. I still really like Jean Grey. I still like Stephanie Phillips's overall arc. I just maybe hope they give us an explanation or something in the next issue. Even though I don't even know how you could explain this logically. Like the one that popped in my head was, oh, she sent out the signal and let's say something in the atmosphere of the planet she's on caused it to only go so far. And so it only hit, Carol and Rocket. But Carol's on Earth, Rocket's in space, and then Sif's on Asgard. So that literally could not it's just physically impossible. So, yeah, it's just rough for me. I don't know. It's like I said, the least exciting part of the book, most eye-rolly part of the book. But yeah, I'm in to see what comes next. Obviously, the showdown with Thanos is coming. I hope it doesn't rely on that eye being like the thing that helps him be on Phoenix's level, because I kind of want it to be a knockdown, drag down, like knuckle. Did you ever see Gurren Lagann? The anime? Yeah. Remember at the end when Simone fights like the anti-spiral and he leaps out of the mech and he's just like socking him in the face? That's what I want it to be. I don't want it to be like, oh, you broke it. Okay, you win. I'm powerless. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want that either.
But yeah, overall, solid issue. Very happy to see Nova. Like, I even messaged Andrew. I was like, it's Nova!
You were like, Nova!
Oh my God!
That was my reaction when I turned the page and saw him.
So yeah, I'm happy to see him again. And yeah, solid Phoenix issue there. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. Anything you got to add?
No, it was a solid book, and I'm looking forward to the inevitable knockdown drag out between
we get magic
Jean and Thanos.
We get the magic book soon. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Timon's here. That Captain Marvel page is ugly. This one, why isn't it highlighting? That's weird. Did I kill the? Where is the I don't know what's happening, guys. Look at that. We went almost all the way to the end of the show without crap. Oh, now it's happening. It was just delayed. That was super weird. But yeah, Captain Marvel looks like she's from a PS1 game. She's all polygonal. Yeah, actually, now that I look at her chest too, she's very Lara Crofty up there. Her knee is in the wrong place. Yeah, see, it's not great art. It's not awful art. It gets the job done. But I miss whoever it was before. I'm blanking on their name. It's like Marco something, and yeah, that's all I got. Liefeld did not drew this. Liefeld would not put feet in here. You know that. What is wrong with you?
Liefeld doesn't draw feet.
All right, but so we've got 15 minutes left. I think we're gonna hit everything perfectly, honestly, the way we're running through this. But in the sense of world-ending destruction, of gathering your teams, of deception and allyship and threats to the universe, let's talk about this freaking book, Ultimate Universe 1 Year In. Personally, I think for me, after Uncanny, this was probably my issue of the week because I really liked this book. This book goes places, I guess. I don't know. Like, this is what I want out of the Ultimate Universe. Lots of playing with what is established. So I guess we'll just get into it. Basically, what this issue is it covers the existence of Ultimate 6160 Nick Fury, who in this universe, or in this version of the universe, I guess, is back to his old white self, good old Nick Fury. And we learn that he is the head of Hand, which in this universe is not the Ninja Clan, but it is basically like a clan. It's basically S.H.I.E.L.D., but evil, right? Like,
it's S.H.I.E.L.D., but like hyper totalitarian.
Like, okay, to that point, like this opening scene puts that, like, establishes that, and I literally had like my holy crap moment. Like, this is so. If you guys remember the plot of the current Ultimates book right now, the Ultimates themselves, like Cap and Tony and Sif, they are trying to liberate the world from the council that the Maker set up because they kind of, use it as a dystopian playground. They are in control. They rule with an iron fist. You can't, push back. They're killing the environment. Just all the bad things. Very, very cartoony level villain, but villainous nonetheless. And so here we learn that, like, so this guy is just hanging out. He's a normal, all of these bubbles, they're recapping, like, this is just, what's his name? Keith Kincaid. And he's a normal guy, never had a parking ticket, loves his wife, works at soup kitchens, builds habitats for humanity, just all around perfect guy. But last week, he was out having drinks with, like, some friends, and he just asked one of them, do you think maybe the Ultimates might have a point? And so freaking Hand just annihilates him from the sky. They stamp him out because they do not tolerate terrorists. I couldn't believe it. I was just like,
that was crazy.
I don't know. Like, I'm still in shock of it. Just like the dad, like, just out of nowhere, just bolt done. And then he brags about it. Like, yeah, we can hit you from anywhere. You're not getting away from us. I also, did you notice that Howard the Duck's here?
Yes.
They captured Howard. I was like, hey, look, Howard. I don't know who this is supposed to be down here in, like, the weird, like, Omega. Oh, here, I gotta, like, zoom in a little bit. The, like, weird Omega case guy here. I don't know if he's supposed to be somebody, but given that it's the Ultimate Universe, I'm wondering if this is either Sentry, like their version of Sentry, or if this is supposed to be a homage to DC. Like, it's Superman, and then you have the Omega symbol where he's not. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but that's kind of what I walked away from this with.
It's probably just meant to be some sort of an Easter egg, but for what? I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, right? Yeah, the what is where I am also, like, hung up on. But, yeah, again, a minor point. I was just wondering if maybe you had any insight, because you always have good insight on this stuff. So
I try, but I'm failing you in this moment.
So, basically, the issue takes place in the form of Nick Fury is hosting a sort of update meeting with the council, telling them about all of his activities in quelling the Ultimates and all that. And you get the sense from his dialogue that he's having regrets about his life, about all of the, heinous actions he's done. And I really liked this bit right here, where he's like, it wasn't always like this in those early days, kicking in the teeth of Nazi vampires, sabotaging super weapons. It was simple. Like, it was good and evil, black and white. Like, things were clearer. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. Like, or like, I like touching upon that, because that is unfortunately the world we live in now. Like, it is not easily black and white anymore, and it gets complicated. And yeah, like trying to hold, like, current, like, soldiers and everything to the standards of World War II when it was so clear cut. It's a whole big issue. We can't, because we're not political theorists. That's not our specialty, but somebody out there could do a whole stream on it. It's probably out there. Yes. What if Omega Red, but not Russian, American? No. This Omega Red's Russian as full.
Omega Red's here still.
this Omega Red, I'm very happy to see him, because he's one of my favorite X-villains. But he is here, and he is very, very, very Russian. But yeah, so in case you guys hadn't been introduced to everybody, we get a recap of everybody who is on the Makers Council, from Captain Britain to Emmanuel DaCosta, who is Sunspot or Sunfire's dad. And this is actually a reveal from this book, Andrew, the whole DNA transfusion thing. Like, this is the first time we've ever heard of it. And that's pretty messed up.
That's super messed up.
He's basically
he's siphoning life off of his kid.
And just, like, they even mention he's, like, hooked up directly, like, IV style to Sunspot, right? Or, yeah, Sunspot, and then Sunfire's the Japanese one. But, so Sunspot is there. Then, of course, we have Madam Viper and Sunfire, who rule the Asia element of this world, because it's not divided up like ours is. It's all very different, you know, countries and borderlines. But one detail I like is that he doesn't talk. Like, Viper talks for him. I just really like that cool thing. We have Khonshu and Ra, who, again, the Black Panther villains were much more interesting before they showed up in Black Panther, because they were... like, when they're shown on the Makers Council, they act like this, Andrew. They act like sort of cryptic, talking in, I guess you could call it like scripture, if you will. Yeah. Where it makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense, but it also could maybe have a hidden meaning. So it was like, ooh, what is, like, going on with them? They're not. It was an interesting touch. Right. But then you get them in the Black Panther book, and they're just basically like, we rule Africa. We don't have Wakanda. Get Wakanda. And it's just like, where was the intrigue? Where was the mystery here? Like, we had something. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we all remember Hulk from the ass-kicking of the Ultimates, like, last issue. And, so he's basically, you know, recapping his life to himself, providing an update on what the Ultimates have done. And we sort of get to see, you know, there's America saving the Guatemalan protesters that we looked at last time. Human Torch is burning down some weapons facilities. Hawkeye is continuing to do the same thing. And, you know, they're trying their best to turn everybody against the Ultimates. They're doing their propaganda. They're putting they're putting mind control drugs in the milk to turn your kids anti-Ultimates. And and then here's they ramped up the culture. That was a nice touch. They're like, culture has ramped up the efforts and flooded all media channels with pro status quo messaging: film, TV, music, podcasts, video games, comic books. And then, Captain Britain goes, comic books? That's a waste of resources, isn't it? Does anyone still read those? And Nick just goes, you'd be surprised. The point is, it's working. But then...
It was a funny little...
just a little,
reference
like,
and
we all get it.
Reality.
We all know. I also thought it was interesting, because they talk about it when they're cleaning up the body of the dude they, like, zapped. But there's... the Ultimate... Or not the Ultimates, but the Makers Council has, like, a narrative department, a what do they call it? Evidence factory. Like, just all this stuff to, like, keep them in power. That evidence factory. Just
culture factory.
Yeah. The
culture, like, department.
Yeah, all of that. I was just like, oh, dang. Like, that's... And, I like this line, though, too. He's like, you know, violent nationalists, pagan false gods, radicals from the future, spoiled Nepo baby billionaires. The narratives write themselves. Well, actually, narrative writes the narrative, but you know what I mean. I was like, that's cute. But, so... As you can see here, Timon, Omega Red starts getting uppity, because he's sort of like, you're doing too much subterfuge, and we got to, like, actually take out the Ultimates. Nick says, don't worry, we're working on it. He reveals to them this technology that lets people basically disguise themselves as whoever, tries to sow all this doubt in the council, reveals to them that he is actually about to self-destruct the helicarrier they're on and take them all out. This was kind of an interesting panel. He's still, like, reflecting on, like, his life, but we sort of see he took out the Ultimate Universe, like 3D Man and Devil Dinosaur. He took out Mantis. Like, he even took out Dugan. Like, that panel, that's where I was like, oh, this Nick is a different Nick. Like, this sucks. This is where it gets even more intense, where he's like, I went and I killed
killing all the Inhumans.
Dude, he killed the Power Pack. Like, that... he's killing a bunch of kids, but when I was a kid, I read Power Pack, and I know they're not popular, but I have a special place in my heart for them. And so I was just like, oh, hell no. Like, you just took out a Power Pack.
Screw this guy.
Forget you. And so, he activates the self-destruct sequence, says, I'm going to take you all out, and then nothing happens. And everybody laughs at him. He kind of crashes out, starts, like, shooting, trying to do whatever he can. And we learn that, like, this is where it gets insane.
Kind of wild.
Where he is not Nick Fury himself. He is an LMD that they keep reviving, and every time they expect that. They expect the Nick Fury to betray them. Not Captain Britain, DaCosta even has a good line where he's like, a spy's not a good spy if there's not a chance he'll ever betray you. And it's like, that's really good. And so every time he gets to that point, they just, as you guys saw, they kill him. However, here DaCosta lights him up with the sunspot powers, and they just download everything he knows and puts it into a new body. And it's really sold by the fact that during this issue, he's kind of having this whole, like, this is my last will and testament. He's leaving like a mental memoir of why he's doing everything. And he ends it with like, I might be dead, but at least I'm free from like working for them from this hell. And then you learn like that is just his eternal,
sad irony.
Eternal fate is just to continue being this. And I don't know, man. It was just like,
that was messed up.
It's a messed up issue. It's a real gut punch of an issue. I'm loving this. I'm loving the Ultimate Universe, what they're doing here. Obviously, Black Panther kind of sucks, but I like this. I'm loving this sort of it's not in the same vein of like, oh, I'm just gonna kill your characters for no reason for shock value. Like there's reasoning behind it, right? Like yes, Power Pack got killed, and even Black Bolt, who I really like, but I would expect the world's super spy working for the Maker to go kill a tiny baby king that could threaten everything in the future, right? Like it all makes sense.
Because he's killing him there when he's still a child.
Right, like he is a boy.
He's very clearly still he's very clearly still a kid.
So like and so it all makes sense, and it doesn't feel like you're just doing it to shock us or because like, remember this character? No, you don't. So all in all, I really enjoyed this issue. I'm really excited to see what the other 1 year in issues all do, because each series is getting their own. Don't care about the Black Panther, but definitely, obviously, X-Men and Spider-Man. I know you don't care X-Men, but Spider-Man should be
I know you do. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, and then we get a little tease of our Ultimate Wolverine, where I'm not. Maybe you pieced it together more. It seemed like he was like an opposition member to the like.
That's kind of what I was getting.
Like to the Rasputin regime in whatever Russia is, whatever they rule.
And that's why they're using the Winter Soldier mind control program.
Yeah. Because then they even, like, they mention here, if everybody in the chat sees it, there's, like, this panel of a bloody dude, like, walking away, and they make some note about, like, he didn't die, and it was crazy, so we did what we would do. We acquired the specimen. And then there was also that really good line about, this wasn't the question of whether we could turn an average citizen into a warrior, which is, like, what the original Weapon X was. It's, no, this was whether we could make a good soldier perfect. And I was just like, oh, man, like, this... Everything here is just like sort of ratcheted up to 11, and I'm ready for it. And
yeah, I'm ready for that. That's in January, right?
Yeah,
this one
that'll be the next
Ultimate
new one.
Wolverine. Yeah, I'll be checking that one out for
sure. Then we get our Christmas special for Ultimate Spider-Man, I think next week, which I'm really excited for. But any last thoughts on Ultimates that you wanted to hit before we wrap it up? Because I got to get your butt out of here.
Honestly, no. It was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't sure what to expect because I hadn't read the prior kind of like just world building setup issue within the Ultimate Universe. So this was a nice pleasant surprise, and I was like, I'm with you. Like as I was seeing the panels where Fury's going through like this messed up stuff that he's telling, I'm like, dude, F this guy. And then but at the same time, you're like listening to his remorse and how he's trying to like end things on a good note, and then it fails.
And he has that one line about like I'm not afraid to die. Now I'm afraid to die without redemption. And I'm like, dude.
Like that's actually deep.
Like,
that's actually pretty deep right there.
Especially for like a war. Well, I guess you could call him a war criminal because he's just extrajudicially annihilating people from the sky.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just doesn't go off and pan out the way that he was hoping. And you're like, crap, man, that sucks.
I genuinely, as a reader, did not see that coming, that it wasn't going to go off. I thought it was going to go off and they would survive, but that twist was even so much better.
Harm their operations, right?
Like all the main council would be alive, but they'd be like, we got to go get new like troops or whatever. Like this will put us back 6 months. That's what I thought was going to happen. So good on Dennis Camp for subverting expectations. That was going to be
like enough to like buy the Ultimates more time.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Tony recover. And all of that, and then that would enable them to succeed in like the coming battle or whatever. But nope. We get that's
LMDs.
Not the game we're playing. We're playing on the back foot. Got it.
Oh man, we have LMD times. But with that, Andrew, I know you need to get out of here. So if you want to jump right now, I can wrap up the show. I can say goodbye to everybody. If you want to drop everything or however you want to handle it, it's your exit.
Let me drop the link. I haven't been sent the link yet, so let me just drop the link to the review stream.
I can at least get you out of here, and you can go get like water or coffee or wine and take a pee or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, let me. Where in the actual blazes?
Right? Thanks, Mary. We tried. We talked about it like these last 2 days, and we were like, all right, we can do this, and we did it.
Thank you, sweetheart. We tried. It was, it's easier said than done.
We just got really lucky in the way we approached our books and what they all had in them, because those transitions were set like just literally amazing. I'm kind of impressed at myself still.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna drop it in the chat here, and then I'm gonna get some water and all of that.
Cool.
But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, I appreciate you all. Thanks for being here for some intellectually honest comic book talk. That's why you guys come here, because you know that we know what we're talking about, and that we're gonna actually be honest with you about whether or not a book was good or whether it was not so much. Because we've had examples of both and everything in between.
You just reminded me. We got the 4th issue of Dazzler. Guys, that miniseries sucked. It was really bad. But yeah.
At least it's over, right?
At least it's over. Well, they're doing the Scarlet Witch thing. They're doing like
really?
mini ends, another mini. So yeah, it's gonna be awful.
I'll give them this
you'll
much.
All
that cover looked really pretty.
Cover's amazing. One of the best of the year. But yeah.
bad book. Bad series. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. You are all the best. Check out over on Well Read Comic Reviews. My review, along with Well Read and a couple other guys talking about Von Coleman's Phenomenova. And I will see you guys next week's gonna be interesting because I get back Thursday. Not Thursday. I get back Wednesday. So
we'll see.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to my shop on Wednesday. I might have to hit my shop up like early Thursday and like try and flash read through them, or at least triage which books.
Triage it as we tend to do. Well, good news is
pick like a top 3 or 4.
Right. The good news is if we run into that situation and you don't get to the shop, we can always either talk about something old or we can play Marvel Rivals. Well, we can do something. Or if you're too tired, which would be completely understandable, we can just take another break.
Yeah.
But that's for next week. It's all up to you, my man. You got to get the hell out of here.
Yep. Like I stated before, guys, normally I have my Saturday afternoon solo streams on Twitch and everything for gaming. Not this week because I'm going to be visiting Mary. Same with community night. Those are usually Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Central. I will not be there for that. I will not be on the High Council, obviously, this coming Tuesday. I got to text Jeff. I'm pretty sure I told him that. I've been all over the place. I got to remind Jeff that I'm not going to be available this coming Tuesday because I will be spending up through Wednesday with Mary. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Beautiful.
I appreciate you all. I will catch you all when I catch you. I'll see you in the internet spot. Hopefully, y'all will check out the review stream here in a little bit.
Yeah, no, Godspeed, buddy. Get over there.
Godspeed.
I myself will definitely be over there in the chat. Maybe some of you guys will join. But yes, get out of here. Go over there.
Godspeed.
All right, Andrew is out of here. That means it's my damn show now. Welcome to Good Mav Ugly. No, I'm kidding, guys. Yes, because Andrew is out of here, and that actually was the end of our respective stacks for the week. If we had more time, we were going to get back into the Flash discussion that we didn't get to last week, but I think we're going to hold on to that until the next Flash issue drops, because as we've been joking about between us, we're big Flash fans, and that's going to be, we have some complaints and we have things to talk about, so we're going to get into that. But yeah, aside from that, guys, thank you everybody for coming to hang out with us. Subhuman, Punk, Timon, Zero Dozer, everybody or Mary, of course. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Oh yeah, Matt was here. Tehillim was here. So thank you guys for hanging out with us, and everybody who's watching in the VOD. I know we get a lot of post-live viewers, and also if you're just watching and you're not chatting, we see ya. We thank you so much. Like, we couldn't be doing this without you guys. So hopefully you'll come back next week. Hope you'll keep hanging out with us. As always, guys. Well, here first I'm gonna get out of that. Oh wait, why did I? I thought I had his whole thing set up. That's a little unfortunate. Where is his no cam? There it is. Cool. So, yeah, guys, that's it for us for this week. Some really good books, some really good X books. Unfortunate turn for the Spider-Man book. Still better than Zeb Wells. Don't worry about that. Still much better than Zeb Wells. So with that, everybody, check out, I'll be getting out of here as well. I'm just sort of hanging out with you, saying goodbye to everybody, doing the proper wrap-up. So go check out Andrew's, the live stream he's about to do. The link is right here. It is highlighted. You can find it right there in the chat. It is not that far up. The book in question, if you guys want to check out the actual website or the product itself, it is from Rebel Oasis, RebelOasisStudios.com. So Phenomenova, this is the series that Andrew has reviewed. He's going to be talking to the creators. Should be a really fun time. So if you want to see more of our boy, if you want to hear more good indie comic book talk, go over there. I even told Andrew, I was like, he was like, oh, I have to leave early. And I was like, dude, we'll just consider it an extended version of our indie highlight corner, right? So go check out that stream right now. That'll be happening right here as soon as I close out. Unfortunately, like I said at the top, we can't redirect yet because we don't have enough subscribers, but we'll get there eventually. So until then, just hit that link, go check it out. But aside from that, guys, yeah, whoop. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you for, spending your Thursday nights with us. Thanks for hearing our comic book talk. We miss you. We love you. We will see you same bat time, same bat channel next week for another episode of Foil Variant, depending on, you guys just heard it, might take a different form, might not even happen. We will see. Aside from that, check out boundingintocomics.com every day, where we are putting up news stories that are not going to preach at you, that are not going to call for censorship, that are not based on lies and assumptions, that actually provide you with the evidence and the factual truth. So if you need a better source for your nerd news, come hang out with us. Like I said, Good Mab Ugly tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You guys can check it out. It's on my Twitters. It's in the Discord. Speaking of the Discord, as always, the link to our Discord is in the description of this video right now. It is a temporary link that will disappear in a few hours, but if you miss it, we will always generate new ones for whatever streams we're on. But if you want to come hang out with us, you want to talk with us, chat, talk some Marvel Rivals with me and Reeve, come hang out in the Discord. It is down below. But yeah, guys, I think with that, Gail Simone is killing it. I am still very, very, very surprised. Let's see. Is there anything I can mention that Andrew didn't want to talk about? Nope. I think, yeah, like I said, I think we pretty much hit on everything. So yeah, I at this point, I am just sort of, I don't know, flailing a little bit because I don't have Andrew with me here to sign off. But until next time, guys, go subscribe to Andrew on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube, on all of the platforms. You can check out me on all the platforms. Until next week, guys, we love you. We miss you. Go read some good comics. And, kudos to Gail Simone. Credit where credit is due. Until next time, guys.
Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...